Hi, I am here with a new kind of video that I'm going to try to do every month, but I'm not going to force myself to if I don't have things to talk about in it. But basically what I have been deciding that I kind of want to steer my channel away from at this point is any kind of negativity, even if it's like not really seen as negativity. Basically all of my like formal sit down videos are about books. I've been doing monthly wrap-ups for the last few years, which means that I talk about all the books that I read each month, whether I like them or not, which is fine. And the point of having a channel about books. But I don't really want to talk about the books that I didn't like anymore. I just want to talk about the stuff that I did like. And I don't want to limit it to books. I want to talk about and share all of the things that I am loving. So this video is my January favorites. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is a book. To be specific, it's manga, and that's volumes 1 and 2 of Spy Family by Tatsuya Endo. Tatsuya Endo. These, oh my goodness. This, I cannot tell you how much I loved these two little books. I want to devour this entire series. And I almost didn't pick this up. I've heard a lot about this series, and I almost decided against it because I've had not the best luck with manga lately. I just haven't been vibing with the ones I've decided to pick up, but these are fantastic. And I even did a whole bunch of tabbing on mangas. I think I've only done like 2 or 3 tabs in one manga before, and that's it. It's difficult to tab mangas, but but these are so delightful. I can't even. Spy Family is about a spy whose latest mission involves him having to get a family because he has to infiltrate this like fancy private school. So he needs to get a fake child who he can get into this private school and a fake wife. And he also has to keep the fact that he's a spy from his fake wife. Also, this child that he adopts turns out can read minds. The thing that just makes this even better is the person that he ends up marrying to have a fake wife is an assassin. And she's like, oh, I can't let him know that I'm an assassin. And he's like, oh, I can't let her know that I'm a spy. It is amazing. It is like, I feel like this is like Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets The Mandalorian. And I only say The Mandalorian because of the, like, the fact that he's adopted this daughter who he thought was just going to be this person that he needed to have in his life in order to do his mission, but he ends up falling in love with her like she's his daughter and he really cares for her. So it's got that, like, this is not my child, but I'm loving them as if they're my child, even though I didn't think I would vibe going on. So, like, if you like Mando and Grogu, if you like Hopper and Elle, if you like Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us, like, you're gonna love the relationship in this. Like, it's lighter than all those things. There's less emotional damage. This is just fantastic. I love this so much. I was so excited to tell you guys about it. You have to pick this up if you like manga at all. Or if you want to get into it, please read these. Amazing. I cannot wait to get volume 3 and continue with the series. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is something that I briefly mentioned while I was talking about Spy Family, and that's The Last of Us. The video game and the TV show. Now, don't worry. I'm not going to talk about spoilers, so if you haven't played the game or seen the show and plan on doing either. I don't think I've ever said either. I think I always say either. That's strange. Anyway, don't worry, I won't spoil anything. I feel like I have a little bit of a backstory for this. So I played the remastered PS4 edition. That's what I played, in case anyone is interested in that. So I started playing The Last of Us many years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. 6 years ago. I don't know, long time ago. After I played Life is Strange for the first time, which that game blew me away. I was not aware that video games could be like that. Like, I had no idea that games could be that, like, narrative-based. There was a whole new, like, it was like a game changer for me. Literally. That game blew my mind apart. I thought it was fantastic. It was amazing. So I was looking for more narrative-based games. And I had heard a lot of really good things about The Last of Us. And I knew it was about like zombies or zombie-like creatures, because they're not technically zombies, but we'll say zombies because that's easier. I knew it was about zombies, but I also heard that it was very story-based, so I didn't think it would be difficult. And it was so hard. I was like, I can't do this at all. There's so much shooting, there's so much sneaking, there's zombies I don't know how to kill. And then my boyfriend at the time tried to help me, and we ended up going back and forth and taking turns. Like, turns out I was fairly good at like hand-to-hand combat in it, and he was better at shooting. And so we would switch whenever those different parts came up. But we both sucked at it, and we got very frustrated because we died very often. And we found out there were many difficulty levels. And we were like, oh, that's why it's so hard. We have to put it on easy. So we went into the options. Yeah, it was already on easy. So we gave up fairly early on. I've been into gaming a lot more over the last couple of years. And I thought, well, with the show coming out, like, maybe I can try it again. Like, maybe I'm better at it now because I've beaten Breath of the Wild and I've played other games. And, like, I think, like, my problem-solving skills, video game-wise, are a little bit better. And my, like, hand-eye coordination is a little bit better, all that kind of stuff. So I gave it another go and was terrible at it again. And then, while I was being terrible at it, I did learn how to kill the clickers and such, and how to kill the runners without attracting the clickers, all those kinds of things. It took me a lot of deaths to figure this out, but I was thinking about it. It was coming closer to the show coming out, and I'm a big, like, I love experiencing the original art form before seeing the adaptation. I'm not always able to do it, and that's fine, but I love experiencing the story in like the original way that it was intended to be experienced before I experience it in the new way. And I also think it's really fun to compare adaptations of things. I'm a huge fan of adaptations and I'm a huge fan of experiencing the original art form first. So I really wanted to try playing this game one more time. And I was like, I've learned a little bit more since the last time I died a bunch of times when I tried playing it a couple months ago. I'm going to give it one more shot. And I was good at it. I mean, I still had it on easy, but I did it, and I beat it. But all by myself. Like, in about 2 weeks, I just picked up where I had left off with my boyfriend at the time when we tried playing, and I was behind on the story. I couldn't remember what had happened up until that point, so I watched a playthrough, which I would also recommend if you are also a big fan of experiencing things in their original art form before seeing their adaptations, but you're not good at video games or don't like video games. I highly recommend watching a playthrough. Even there are also like playthroughs that have all of the gameplay cut out and it's just all the cutscenes put together. Even if you want to watch that, like, I highly recommend. There's a bunch of them on YouTube. Please check them out. Because it's fantastic. The story is incredible. So I watched a playthrough up until where I started playing again so that I was caught up. It's so good. So first of all, the acting is incredible. Like, a lot of these, at least Life is Strange does not have the best dialogue or the best acting. It's a great story and it's a great game. But, like, this game has incredible dialogue, incredible acting. It's such an incredible story. So basically, what this story is about is it's the very beginning of, like, essentially a zombie outbreak, and our main character Joel loses a family member very close to him, and it's very tragic. It's very tragic. You will cry. And then the story takes place 20 years later, and he is tasked with smuggling a girl across the country because she is immune to these so-called zombies. He is very closed off, very cynical, doesn't want to get hurt again, doesn't want to admit that he could care for somebody again, and a big part of the story is about their relationship slowly growing and getting stronger and caring about each other, and it's fucking incredible. And the transitions in this game from cutscene to gameplay and gameplay to cutscene were absolutely incredible. Like, sometimes I wouldn't even realize that we were back to gameplay and that I was supposed to be doing something. Just being in this game, like, made something that doesn't normally scare me scary, because it felt like it was happening to you. Like, it was so good. It was so good, you guys. And I also played, this game comes with, I guess it doesn't really say, but anyway, this version that I have comes with a side story that was very short. I played it in like just over 2 hours, I think. And it is just a piece of the story expanded on, basically. So it's from something that happens like a little bit more than halfway through the game. There's like a little bit of a time jump in the game. And so this is what happens during that time before the time jump. And also we get flashbacks of what happened to Ellie before the game started. Oh, it's so good. Ugh, it's so good. I loved playing this game so much, and the TV show is killing it. They are doing such a good job. Some of the scenes are exactly the same as the video game, which is so cool. A lot of the story is the same, and the things that they're changing, I think they're doing it for the better for the sake of a TV show. Like, a lot of the stuff that they're changing is like stuff that makes sense in a video game because it's a video game. Like, oh, there's enemies that we have to shoot because that's the gameplay in the video game, is shooting enemies and getting past enemies. And oh, we need to do this because we need weapons for the gameplay. And a lot of that doesn't really make sense for a TV show and for, like, you know, realistic characters that people are supposed to be portraying, right? So a lot of the changes are just, you know, kind of steering away from that obvious video game type stuff into more emotional, character-driven stuff. And it's so good, you guys. It's so good. I highly recommend. Just be careful, though, because this show and video game, they both have a lot of emotional damage involved. Last thing that I'm going to talk about is a board game, and that's Obscurio. So I actually have played this a couple years ago, but we only played it with 4 people. And it's playable with 4 people, but it wasn't as good. It was like, okay, and we're like, I feel like this would be better with more people. So we recently played this with 7 people, and it was fantastic. So I feel like this is kind of a combination of the werewolf game and Dixit, if everyone's played Dixit, except there's more to it than just that. But essentially, there are 3 types of players in the game. There are wizards, there's a traitor, and there's a grimoire. So basically, the premise of the game is that a bunch of wizards are trapped in a library, and they're lost, and they don't know how to get out of the library. And there is a magical grimoire who can give them silent clues on which room to go into in order to find their way through the library. And then there's a traitor who wants to trick the wizards and make them be trapped in the library forever. At the beginning of the game, everyone gets cards secretly, and they look at them secretly, and then you find out if you're a traitor or a wizard. The person who's going to be the grimoire gets to give silent clues by pointing to things on really pretty pictures that could match themes from other pictures that the wizards have to pick out. And the traitor has to try and trick the wizards into picking different pictures and making it seem like what they're picking is the correct answer. And the pictures match doorways. And so you have to pick the right picture to go through the right doorway to get out of the library. And there's consequences if you pick the wrong doorway. And there's a point in the game where people have to decide on who they think the traitor is and make an accusation. So it's very fun, especially when there's like a bunch of people playing. It got pretty heated when we played, when we were trying to figure out who the traitor was. And it was a lot of fun, and the artwork in it is absolutely gorgeous. If you like board games and you like having like board game nights with like a lot of people, because I find it's also hard to find board games that go past like 5 players. So this one you can go up to 8 players. So it's excellent. You can also play with 2 or 3 people, I think, and then just the rules are different so that it works out. But I would definitely recommend playing this with 7 or 8 people. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, those are all my January favorites. I hope this was a fun video for you. It was pretty fun for me. And hopefully I'll be back at the beginning of March to tell you about my favorite things from February.